Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is George Herrera with the Queens Home Team at Keller Williams Realty. In today's video, I'm answering a question that I came across on a forum that I feel is relevant to the Queens and the New York City market. So I figured I'd answer it on the channel in case anyone else is wondering the same thing. So the topic, the subject line on this post was, could any realtors out there please explain the difference between refusing to make any repairs after inspection versus advertising as is but inspections welcome, and versus advertising as is where is. So this goes to the point of the terminology as is when a property is being sold as is, right? So the first part where could a realtor please explain the difference between refusing to make any repairs after inspection. So here in Queens and in New York City, inspection is done before attorneys get involved. So that's the important thing to note here. So when you make an offer, negotiate an accepted offer, you come to an agreement on the price, the next step is scheduling your inspection. Nobody is legally binded to each other yet. There are no legal obligations. So buyer can back out, seller can back out because no attorneys have gotten involved. There's no contract that has been signed. So you do the inspection. Inspection report comes back, 80% of the time probably some issues come up, something that nobody was aware of. And if they're major, usually it leads to renegotiations. Now, you can request for the seller to make repairs and a seller could refuse to make repairs. So that just is what it is. A seller could agree to make repairs, which we've seen in the past. Or a seller could just say, no, I'm not doing any repairs. It's sold as is. So now you're just back to a negotiation. So keep that in mind when you get the inspection report, major issues come up or something material that you weren't aware of and you want a seller to repair it, you could make the request. It doesn't mean they have to accommodate your request. So you're just back to a negotiation there. Most of the time after an inspection, when things are negotiated, they're usually negotiated via a discount in price or a discount or a credit. So credit or discount in the price. That's how it's usually handled unless it's one of the major components. So unless it's plumbing, an active leak, active roof leak, something hazardous like that. So now the other part of the question, right, is now what's the difference between refusing to make any repairs versus advertising as is, but inspections welcome. So that terminology isn't very common here in Queens. As is, but inspections welcome. It's people do promote property being sold as is. Now, the inspections are always, if you want to do an inspection, it's your right to do an inspection as a buyer. So inspections should always be welcome. If someone wants to do an inspection, those are the terms of your offer. And so you would be able to do one unless the seller takes an offer that with a buyer that's waiving the inspection. But as is, so the important thing to note here, and I've covered this before on the channel, so I'll reiterate it here. There's two types of as is. There's as is, where homeowner puts a property on the market, says I'm selling my house as is. So the realtor goes in the description and puts property being sold as is. Now that type of terminology usually means it's as is, but with standard representations. So a standard contract here in Queens and New York City, a standard contract will be, sure, it's as is, as you see it, as the property, as you saw it, but it's with standard representations, meaning roof delivered free and clear of leaks, all plumbing in working order, heat delivered in working order, electrical in working order. So all major components should be delivered in working order. That's your standard contract. Even though the description says as is, usually the contract will be with standard representations. Now, true as is, where is the true definition, where people like to assume that that's how it is, but it's actually quite rare, is like with a foreclosure. So if you're buying a foreclosure, it will be as is most of the time, as is with no standard reps. It's as is, where is. They make no guarantees on anything being delivered in working order. So that's actually quite rare, where property is sold as is and heat might not be working at closing, plumbing, there might be an active leak. Nothing is guaranteed by the closing table. That's actually quite rare for a standard sale, and usually we see it more so with foreclosures and REOs. But for a standard purchase from a home seller to a home buyer, usually, even though the homeowner says as is, it's usually with standard representations, which is just saying the house, the major components are delivered in working order, appliance delivered in working order, roof delivered free and clear of leaks, things like that. So hopefully that explains it there, and the difference between, so refusing to make any repairs, that you just have to know that's a negotiation. You can request repairs, doesn't mean that the seller has to agree to do them, but there are instances where the seller would need to take care of it. So let's say, for example, termite damage. Any active termite damage would need to be treated in order for the bank to approve the loan. Let's say if there was an active leak in a sink or an active leak somewhere, or if a radiator isn't working in one of the rooms, those are reasonable requests to make, that, just to make sure that that's working. Can you have that repaired by closing? Most sellers will agree to do that because it's not a major request. But again, they can reject it. They can say, no, we're not doing any repairs. That is what it is. And in those instances, usually we just negotiate a discount in the price or a credit at closing so that the buyer can use those funds to actually take care of it. Okay. Hopefully that answers that question. If you have any questions related to this topic in particular, feel free to drop them in the comments below. And if you have any other questions or topics that you'd like us to cover on the channel, also feel free to drop them in the comments below, or you can contact us at queenshometeam.com/help. All right. Thanks as always for tuning in, y'all. Stay tuned for the next episode. Take care. Have a great day.